Please be seated. Did we have anybody under the visitors?
No, nothing. They're saying nobody.
No, okay. Employee recognition. The guys were out late the other night fixing water line. I want to thank them for that. And of course our police officers for handling not this past Sunday, but the previous Sundays.
That was a lot.
A lot in one day.
The Lord just kept sending message after message.
Yep. So thank them as well for that. Actually, I was under employee recognition. Anyways, anything else? We need to just combine the two. Technically, we're under public, even though I just skipped to employee. That's okay.
That's fine. I want to publicly thank Rob Flores for getting our clubhouse at the golf course completed with one tiny little thing left to do, but it's open. It has the certificate of occupancy, and yippee. Thank you, Rob. You're the bomb.
Bomb.com.
Huh?
Bomb.com.
There you go.
I want to recognize the fire department too. This Sunday we had a little gas leak there for somebody, but they took care and they evacuated, did what they had to do, and pretty good job. Yeah.
It would have been nice if they'd sent out an eye thingy, but yeah, they did good.
All right. So we'll go ahead and go to item 6. This is the public hearing of the proposed budget for the fiscal year 2022 to 2023. Is there anyone here to speak on the proposed budget? Oh. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. That was actually canceled. That's why I should have made notes on and done it today on my stuff. So, apologize for that. If you want to speak on the budget, you can, but it'll be later in the agenda. All right. We're moved to 8. Consider approval of minutes. This is for the rescheduled meeting minutes on June 30th of 22, and then the regular meeting minutes of July 26th of 22. Any comments?
Yes. Gotta find them. Page 12, on June 26, revenue from the golf course to Parks and Rec. I did vote no on that, and I recommended that be sent to the debt incurred by the golf course.
I thought you abstained.
That was a different one. I abstained.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You're all right.
Do you have well, they have it over there on theirs.
Page 13, I requested some of the root complaints for the regulation regarding the food trucks. Didn't provide anything specific. Voted against this after making a motion to table it so it could be shared with the affected parties. I would request that be reflected in there as well. And I also asked to release the information prior to it being passed. Was explicitly told that that could not be released without consent. I'm unclear on the consent part exactly, but and then I voted no on that. Those are all my corrections.
Okay, got it.
No.
I didn't see any others.
All right, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to go ahead and approve the minutes for the June 30th and the July 26th meetings.
Second. I just have to make the motion.
You have to make a motion with the corrections.
Motion that we accept the minutes from the previous meeting with corrections.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain.
Anyone against? And then we have one abstaining. Motion passes. Y'all catch all that? Yep. All right. Item 9. Consider and act upon the contract for Republic Services. Republic has a representative here, go ahead and step up to the microphone.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So you may have in your packet a contract extension language that I sent on August 18th to the city. This language came from our previous meetings, feedback from y'all, and we tried to include things like eliminating the roll-off franchise, putting nonprofits and churches at a residential rate versus a commercial rate, hoping to save some money there. And I'm confident, there's other things in here, removing the fuel tax and that kind of stuff, the fuel pass-through. I'm confident that we can come to an agreement, on the numbers. And, one thing I wanted to mention tonight was just that, this kind of backbone of the hard numbers, I think is also equally as important as the partnership, the vendor you're committing to. And, I want to share our interest in serving the community and being a partner. I think you'd be happy to know that Republic Services is really taking investments to become what we're calling environmental services company, where we're putting a lot more focus in a recycling effort, in a going green effort. Mayor, those loud trucks, the electric ones, we have to make artificial noise because they're so quiet. There's opportunities on the horizon in the future that we want to partner with you on your ideas for health, for cleanup, and what have you. We've done a recent acquisition and now can do emergency management type services, the pipe leaks, oil spills, train derailments. And so it's important that we build this relationship with you now, because I'm excited to see where Republic is going and where we can be a community partner to you and to your community. So with that said, I'm happy to take any feedback, any discussion. And Terry is also here who can add to our discussion.
Council, you moved like you had a question or comment, something. Go ahead, Josh.
With your concession on the roll-off, I'm okay with your desire to have a permanent roll-off be you folks' territory. However, I would like some sort of language in there. If a business owner contacts you more than, say, 3 times and is unable to get the roll-off delivered within 45 days, we can go back and forth on this, but within a reasonable time limit, they can go to a local service. Because what I don't want to see is a local business need a roll-off in that permanent fixture type, like you mentioned in here, and be unable to get it, and then we're creating a trash problem. Does that make sense?
Councilman, thank you. We can work with that.
Very generous of you on the fuel surcharge. I appreciate that. What was the other thing in here? We can go someone else while I collect my thoughts.
Side of the table, questions, comments?
I do have a comment here. In hopefully eliminating such type of a monopoly, again, I would suggest 2 weeks, so that way when a business owner or an entity or an individual needs a roll-off, it's probably pretty quickly. And so, so we can eliminate that monopoly type of situation. And also, I do have an individual that has repeatedly asked that somehow the dumpster at a car wash be covered or the trash cans be covered, because the waste and debris and flies into their swimming pool. And so they're constantly having to retrieve it. They have complained to the city, but it's still happening. And so I'd like to see how we can hopefully help this customer. And I don't know if she's reached out to Republic, but I think that we want to make sure that we provide great service for our clients and customers and our citizens.
We have a liaison that communicates daily twice, maybe 3 times a day with the city. Just request a courtesy swap out. Be happy to do it for you.
And Cory, that's a civil matter. We don't get involved.
Yeah, that's how come we weren't able whenever she was contacted. She contacted me as well. It is a part of what's happening with the private trash cans are a civil matter. Now the dumpster, that's, I don't know. She may have told you more than what she told me, but the trash cans themselves are civil. The dumpster, if it's not being picked up enough, then that's something that they need to.
Knowing that information.
Are they
Kurt,
available with a lid? Okay, we
Yeah, that would
could
be
just
great.
have that swapped out
Yes.
for them with a lid, and then
Thank
all
you
this
so
goes
much.
away.
And to your point, Angela, your initial point there, my point was for permanent roll-offs, which they're still requesting I don't know what the term is here, to offer permanent service for permanent roll-offs, but temporary roll-offs would still be available to local businesses here. So I agree with that. Could we get some static? Sorry, were you done? I'm sorry, I'm jumping into your time. I'm sorry, I was just started over speaking you.
No, it's discussion, it's okay.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
That's what it's for.
Can we get some static dates on pickups? So personally, I'm okay with you limiting it. I would request some sort of imagery to help customers articulate what 2 and 4 yards looks like in solid waste and debris. Just that way we know exactly when it'll be picked up, and we can say, and city doesn't need to try and explain to them what 2 yards is. They can say, go to the Republic website, and then here's where I'm going to have another request for you. Have a drop down for City of Devine. Some way folks can look it up. And this might make it also easier for requesting a roll-off if you want to manage permanent roll-offs. Hey, I need a permanent roll-off, or I'm having a problem. And that way our folks aren't having to spend the time on it. Here's a problem, Ninja forms on your website, CC the city, send to you folks. That way you can get ahead of the problems easier. Our city still is tracking issues. I need a roll-off, I see it quickly. I know exactly how much 2 yards is because here's a picture that kind of helps me visualize it. And kind of takes care of a lot of the time-consuming Q&A that our folks are doing.
Even leave a phone number with it. It goes direct to somebody, not to no machine. That's, all that combined is.
I'm open to different options here.
We can do that.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy to get pictures. I'm sorry?
Does that include static dates for pickups?
Yeah.
Yes. We provide.
We handle the dumpsters. They handle the roll-offs. So if anybody's wanting a roll-off, we give them their number to call. We don't handle the roll-offs.
Right.
They bill them directly. Now the dumpster ones, we have to have them fill out the form because we submit it to them. If not, it's going to be chaos for them to try to keep up and sending it to us, because we've already had problems with the billing where we got billed for something that was already on the bill.
Oh, picks for an intermediary.
Yeah.
As far as the temp roll-off goes, I'm happy to.
I'm okay with temp roll-off the way it is. That's a business process issue for you folks to figure out. I'm more concerned if we are going to negotiate for you folks to manage the permanent roll-offs, make it easier, because I'm unwilling to.
Static days were delivered in 8 days or something.
I don't want a business stuck with, if they want to have a permanent roll-off, I don't want them stuck with just collecting trash. Because they need to come out and do a site survey and never get a call back.
So you're talking about a roll-off or a dumpster?
Roll.
Because roll-offs, they hardly, y'all hardly
It's
bring
in the
those
verbiage
out.
here.
Huh?
It's in the verbiage here. A permanent,
It says
Roll-off
permanent
rates.
and temporary in
yes.
the roll-off.
Well, they asked for additional discussion on permanent and temporary, and that's what Josh is giving us.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with permanent. I do have, temporary is not happening, but permanent I'm okay, but I still, again, to my earlier point, I don't want a business owner sitting, I need a permanent roll-off and having to wait more than.
We can guarantee something like that.
Under construction, if they call.
For sure.
For new businesses,
I think there's
Yeah.
like 3 or 4
Yeah.
ones done through a broker that calls us, but we can go through that and get that more clarified and do some guarantees on it also.
Okay, yeah, essentially what I want is if you can't deliver in a certain amount of time, if they need a permanent roll-off, they'll just come into a local company then, and we won't have any problem there.
So we'll give you first option, and then,
And for the static dates, what are our to say repercussions, but what are the options for us if you folks don't meet those static dates? Because that has been a persistent issue.
It's possibly a penalty, maybe it's possibly calling somebody else to do it and penalizing us, whatever that is. If it's a fair date, I think we're good enough to honor something like that.
What would be a fair date?
I can tell you the current agreement we have, I know this is completely different, but for residential cart deliveries and exchanges, we say that's 8 days.
That's if you call it on a Monday.
We'll go back and find out what the timeline can be for roll-off, but I imagine.
I think we're talking about bulk trash here, yeah?
I think it's like 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah.
No, bulk trash?
Bulk trash?
Yeah, bulk trash. For the,
He skipped to bulk trash.
sorry, I mean, and so
For
that
days.
everyone's gonna
How
use
long
here.
would it take you to take care of the city on bulk or trash? Is that the question?
Yeah, 'cause I'm okay with
Yeah.
it.
So you're saying if we come in on a Monday to do bulk, how long is it gonna take us?
This week, we're gonna take care of bulk trash in this section of the city. Next week, this stuff. The following week, we'll get brush.
Well, the answer you have to say is depends on volume, but
Well, you're limiting us to volume here, so you can predict that volume to a degree.
okay, yeah.
I'm not.
If you could calculate that, I think that would be.
Clarify that, for some time on that too, we can do that.
Because, and so my issue, let me
No,
jump
I
this
was
out
just
real
clearing
quick.
my throat.
Oh, okay. So we've been waiting, 6 weeks. I didn't actually measure a calendar here, but it felt like probably a good 2 months. We're waiting to get a bulk trash picked up twice now, maybe 3 times. I just want to know it's set for this week. Give you 1, maybe 2 weeks wiggle room here, but we can't have this stuff sitting around for 1 and 2 months because then people are calling code enforcement and creating extra work.
Let's come up with some guarantees for that also, and some timelines and so on. Let's just
And
negotiate that.
I think, our last bulk, I think, went okay, or at least time-wise, it was in the timeline. And then your next one, we moved at y'all's request from November 14th to October 10th. That way we stay out of the holiday, and but I'm sure that we'll be able to meet those timelines. And we'll get some.
Guys, we're focused on you.
They normally
We're
keep the
doing all
week.
we
They
can
normally
to
take
not make anybody mad.
Well, it's not about not making folks mad, but it's we want predictability, and we as a city need to convey to folks ahead of time, hey, it'll be out at this time. Don't put a bunch of crap on the curb a month, 2 months in advance, because we already have enough issues with the presentability in the neighborhood, but it will be here during this time frame. Ensure it's ready, period.
Okay.
And you have brush 4 times a year.
Yeah.
You're talking about stuff being on the curb. Is that still acceptable to do it 4 times a year, or is that something?
It works, except it's not gonna work with this contract because you're not picking up the yard bags. You're saying we have to get another cart in order to be able to put our yard waste in. And people aren't gonna do that. And it's gonna sit out on the curb until your brush pickup. So for 3 months, 5 bags of trash every week is gonna sit right there. Trash, I meant yard waste, is gonna sit out on that curb. Because right now, you're supposed to be picking up 5 bags of lawn waste or, whatever we put into the yard waste, I'm gonna call it. And it's not in the new contract. So that means everything we have, okay, personally, I only have maybe 2 a week, but I know people that have more. It's gonna sit in their yard, and then we're gonna have vermin, and then we're gonna, until the 4 times a year. And then you're not gonna be able to pick it up in a 2-week period.
The main reason this all happens is safety. It's safety, safety, safety. I know right now there's a labor shortage. It's hard out there to get labor, people to help. But now you have yard waste and you're bending over, you're twisting, you're picking it up, you're throwing it, and you're getting lawsuits galore. So that's going to not just start with us. Other people are going to do it too. They're already starting. It's going to have to happen at some point just for safety purposes. So that's why that we got the extra cart rate down to almost nothing. It's so cheap right now. He's got it in there to try and help out, to help us let these people go home to their families where they're not hurt.
I
it's not making
understand what you're
liability.
saying, but our community is used to having that and now they're not gonna have it, and they're gonna ask, we're asking them to raise their bill $5 or $6 or $8. No, for the same service they should have been getting up until this new contract. So I'm just letting you know, your brush pickup is going to quadruple because people aren't gonna get a second cart, and then they're gonna put it out there, and they're not gonna care that it's over your 6-yard thing. I mean, they're just not.
What if we even go beyond the 6-yard limit to help?
I get it, but what I'm saying is, it's gonna be a lot, guys. If you don't have it, if they're not picking it up on a weekly basis, because what you're picking up right now is mostly tree trimmings and, that sort of thing that people do extra.
Yeah,
The normal, everyday, weekly or monthly maintenance is what I'm talking about. I'm just letting y'all know, because that's not gonna work.
Get through that by adding more yardage on the bulk, and then
Yeah, but then you'd have to put 2 weeks to do it all, because I'm saying you're gonna increase what you're gonna have to pick up, because you're not gonna be doing it on a weekly or bi-weekly.
I agree to that. We'll get to there for sure.
Okay. So what are your solutions? In other words, what can you offer us, the citizens of Devine, in extra yardage? Now, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Mrs. Randall or Councilwoman, it is the amount and then the frequency. Is that correct, Councilwoman? The amount and frequency? And so, what can you supply for our citizens so we don't have that hazard? A safety issue, pretty much primarily. So what are your suggestions? What are you willing to work with us?
Terry can add on to what I'm going to say, which is what we do for our customers varies from increasing the yardage, 8 yards or more on a bulk pickup, increasing the frequency, having a community spot where it can be, we have one where you put the box at the wastewater plant and the community knows they can go there every other Saturday kind of thing. So I think there's a variety of solutions, and I'm sure Terry's seen others. That's just what I've seen on my side. But I don't think it's anything that we don't want to pick them up. It's just we have to get out of, we're getting those trucks out of our fleet that you load them in that way. I mean, it's becoming an antiquated way to pick up waste, and we don't operate like that.
Question for you and you. Based off your point there of having that central drop point, would you be okay if folks could drop their yard waste at a...
Will they do it?
Will they do it as a moot point? No. But if they will drop it at a central point so they can leverage the current technology, and that mitigates the need to keep yard waste laying around for 2-3 months, is that a middle ground?
I don't know if they will or not. I haven't talked to anybody about that.
Well, if they won't, they could pay $6.50 extra a month. If you can't load a bag of grass trimmings in your trunk, I'm seeking a middle ground here. I understand the point of limited liability.
I understand what you're saying. If there was a place that we could say, well, you're going to have to take it there now. I don't know. I don't know if they will.
If someone can't afford $6.50 a month, how much yard trimming are they doing?
We can't tell them that.
I will tell them that.
Well, you go ahead, because I want to keep the tires on my car. So.
And then something y'all need to think about is that if, like, for instance, he said wastewater plant, well, we'd have to have an employee there to man it, because we have to be careful on them going into the wastewater plant.
Well, it's not just careful on that. The first thing we know is going to be mattresses and couches and everything else, and it's not going to actually be the waste that it's supposed to be.
Okay, in all fairness, there's one sitting on Colonial right now near that trailer park because no one wants to pay $20 to take it to the dump. So,
have you turned that into code compliance?
no, I have not.
Oh, well, then that's the problem.
There's a lot of steps to, can we get them trained?
Send an email.
People are going to be anxious no matter
Send
what.
an email.
I mean, I know it's not going to be like a cure-all, but when you have an open dumpster, it's just people throw.
Two.
I hear you. I mean, it's like up there by the park. There's all kinds of crap in there, but
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen a mattress sticking off the top of that. So it's actually still there, and the mattress is not too far from that dumpster. So I don't have an answer for degenerates.
If it becomes if somebody really, really wants us to come out and pick up 10 bags that's out of cycle, we'll call it out of cycle brush pickup or bulk pickup, where we'll go out specifically for that one thing, but there'll be a charge to it. We can charge that, but I like to charge the customer directly, not the whole city. Some people don't have the money to pay for that. So if they're bringing this extra amount, let's let them pay for that. And I'm good with that. There's all types of ideas. Y'all are smart people. We can, I promise we can fix.
All I want to see is folks generating additional cost being the bearer of that cost, not the taxpayer as a whole. Dora or Rob, can Rob provide some insights to the sludge pickup? What do we need to see changed on this contract? Have you seen this? Okay. So, do you want to read it or do you want me to read it to you? Oh, you got to, okay. I'd like your inputs on this since you have to manage that stuff.
Is there a specific part?
Well, Dora had mentioned we need to have a person out there then that adds additional cost. Just, you folks know how that stuff works, so I'd really like your inputs on how we should adjust that, or if it needs adjusted at all.
On the sludge or on the brush?
Sludge.
The sludge is,
I mean, any of your inputs would still be of value.
I mean, the
have
sludge
to
is
deal
what
with it
Eddie
every day.
does.
Yeah, the sludge is what Eddie does at the wastewater plant that they pick up. So that, I mean, we're not having any problems. I think the last time was something broke, right? They broke something and they got fixed. So, I mean, other than that, I mean, Eddie's not having problems with them picking up the sludge.
Oh, okay. You made a comment about sludge. I thought there was maybe an issue here.
No, I was talking
that's
about,
continual, so it's not, when he calls, they pick it up and
Yeah.
bring it, so there's no issue.
Okay.
yeah.
side of it.
No, what I was saying, Josh, is that, like, for instance, that you want to put a container for people to come dump at the wastewater plant. That's what I was saying. We'd have to have somebody there to man it.
Okay. My apologies, misunderstood you. Okay, I have no further comments.
Well, can that be offered for the bulk, one day out of the week or whenever the sludge pickup is done? Can that also be done with the, now you are going, correct me if I'm wrong, the reduction of carbon footprint, is that a transition in timeline so that can apply? Is it applicable in where we can have that debris placed there? And when Eddie does call, can the pickup be done at the same time or a set date schedule or date?
For somebody with excess bulk.
So that way, if he's already there, then, you know, let's utilize.
It would make sense to do it that way. It would make sense, and it would also make sense to have collectively at least 10 people on that list to do that day. And then the only thing I need to work out is how we would do that with the city to make sure the city knows what we're doing, that we're billing this person $45 to go to the house to do this. And that's the only thing we got to get clear on. That, and that's done in lots of cities. Lots of people do this. As far as out of cycle brush, out of cycle pickup, extra this, extra that, and that's how you do that to not spread it out to the citizens. There's some people that are struggling.
I especially appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely.
You can figure out a way to build the individual with their excess.
Yeah, I'm in.
I mean, the container will go in the sewer plant. That's what, I mean, if we put it outside, and anybody could go anytime at night and just dump stuff. And
Isn't there? I drove out to where the dog pound is. Is that the sewer plant?
No, I mean, yes, it's
There-
that way, but it's at the end.
Okay, there's Over there, there's one of our cans there.
There's a roll-up, that's for animal control, yes.
For-
For animal control.
we donate another can for animal control that goes to the back, and it goes twice a week.
Yeah.
And I go there, and I went to see the puppies and the cats and all that. I wanted to get me a barn cat, and I go back there, and they say that can's never full. So, and I look at this roll-off, and it is full. It's coming, and apparently I did some checking. It comes from housing somewhere. People from housing is bringing that there.
That would be Rob.
Okay, anyhow, that's the only way it's getting full, and I checked on it, and when I checked on the service level on it, it was only pulled like once a year. Maybe, apparently it's not getting full if it's going once a year. Maybe we can work something out there, guys.
It wasn't just supposed to be for the housing, it was supposed to be like for public works, to be able to
Yeah, for
haul
logs,
stuff.
yeah.
Yes, but I don't know how often housing, Rob takes care of that, I don't know how often housing goes and dumps.
I know it's not more than once a year. I know that because I checked. And what's going in there, it's the box. We're not billing y'all no rental, no minimum dump fee. We're just taking care of y'all on that. But what I'm saying is, maybe that's an option.
Y'all bill us for picking it up.
Well, yeah, when it's full, but
Yeah.
that's how, it's only like once a year or something like that. It's not
No, it's been more than that.
twice.
I'd have to go back and look, yeah,
Because we just.
Not
But they're not talking
Yeah.
about going that route.
You
Yeah,
just
that's
paid
what I'm
one.
trying to say.
yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say, is maybe that might be some way to help the people.
Sorry to throw us on the sledge talk and we went a whole nother
I'm
way.
sorry. I was talking about the kitty over there.
No,
I wanted
but,
to-
so we're saying out of cycle brush could be a solution.
I like your solution of out-of-cycle brush billed directly to the requester. And could we do the same thing for bulk pickup? If you have more than the 4 yards, I think it is in here. 6 yards.
Six.
If you have more than that 6 yards, make that out-of-cycle request. And how do we set the rate for that as well? Because I don't want to price gouge folks, but
The way to make that the fairest rate possible is wait till there's 10 people that want it, and that won't take long. That won't take long. And then you can do it all at one time. That way you get it cheaper, obviously cheaper.
how does that get organized?
Um,
we don't have a bunch of crap sitting on the
It's,
curb.
they gotta call, we can leave a number on this website somehow, or.
And
I-
other
they don't
cities
need to
coordinate
get-
through the city, where they call in.
Yeah, but if y'all are gonna be billing them
Yeah, they
directly and we're not gonna have anything to
Exactly.
do, then they need to be calling y'all like they do for the roll-off.
I'm in, yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah. And we can leave an internal number where it doesn't go to the roll-off.
Think about a solution for that when you come back with the fully fleshed out contract here, because nobody wants to see junk piled up in the corners any longer than it already is.
What if we get the extra, out-of-cycle brush pickups done within 2 weeks of any phone call? Is that too late, too much?
Have a balance here between convenience and cost. So maybe a couple solutions, and we can decide which one works the best for the council. And that way, we know those things work for you, and we can pick which one works for the council then. Is that fair? Okay.
And possibly the 1st and 15th, maybe, I don't know. Just a suggestion. So that way we can do 1st and 15th of every month. So that way it is a set schedule and the customers know that if they have extra brush or debris, they will be charged
I think
on
that's a
that.
great idea.
And have it 1st and 15th.
But they would have to call Republic for that,
Yes.
not the city.
Yep. And we can adjust city policy then that they can't set it out more in a certain amount of time to keep everyone happy.
We're on the website that they need to call for out-of-cycle brush on there. This is the person you call at this phone number. And not calling Phoenix or nowhere for a roll-off. We're calling to get this done quick. Thank you.
So
Gotcha. We're getting
my
there.
concern, if I may ask you, Dora, would be separating them because they're calling the city for the residential card and that kind of exchange. And so, and then they would call us for this out-of-cycle
Only out-of-cycle brush.
But what if y'all took that and then y'all also got the franchise fee from that and it wasn't through us? You know, because because what if it becomes popular and we're doing all this business with them?
Well, if we're doing extra money, extra service, we pay the city a percentage of whatever we do and make that, make it fair. The whole thing is to clean the city and to make it a fair price for everybody. But a percentage of that goes back to the city for
And
their work.
You already keep a list of who needs the card exchanges. Now you keep a list of who needs the out-of-site.
Add more duties onto our city employees. I'm not saying no, but I want to make sure our city employees are okay with the things you're asking them to do, and make sure it makes cost benefit sense.
And also to see if it's legal for the citizen.
I really appreciate you folks' time and flexibility here.
One last thing I'd like to ask council, TML is coming up. We'd love to have y'all our guests on the party that we have. We throw a real nice party. It's a fun one. I don't know if you've ever been to one, but you'll need an Uber driver. It's a great, food is fantastic. Love to have y'all join us as a guest, along with staff, attorney. Ma'am?
Send us the information, and we can make an informed decision on that as well, but.
Not me coming, all the cities in Texas are coming.
October 6th.
At 6:30.
The conference is the 4th through 7th in San Antonio.
Very memorable.
I have one thing that I didn't see in the contract that we need to make sure is in there. We need to make sure there's a no fault cancellation clause in there. No council in the future needs to be tied into any council decisions that are made today, just like this council got tied into decisions that were made more than a decade ago. So we need to make sure that's in there.
This will be the first contract.
Yes. And he's, like I said, needs to have a no fault cancellation clause where anyone can write a letter and you have 90 days or something, because like I said, we cannot put on future councils what was put on us.
So can we go less than 5 years? Do we have to go the 5 years?
No.
So can we go 2 years?
We know with all the.
That would adjust the rates, and we could get that number to you.
He's got the PI here.
Longer contract because the fuel surcharge is in there.
I'm okay with what it looks like here. I'm okay with what y'all discussed tonight. We just need to make sure that no council is stuck with what we got stuck with.
I mean, you understand though that if there's a no cancellation, it's not in a real contract then.
You know what? That everybody will have to make sure everybody's happy in that.
Because the way it reads now, we can say we're terminating, and we gotta wait 4 years before we can actually terminate. And we don't want that anymore.
We won't have cause in it. If we're leaving your city in safety issues.
That would be a cancellation. I mean, a cancellation with cause sounds fair, but without cause seems a little.
No, because cause in this situation with a company that size and with a city like us is going to have to go be determined by a court. So it's not going to be a cheap thing. It's going to take months and months, if not years, to get through. So,
No, it's a mediator, and it's just if we leave the.
Mediation's not cheap.
if we end up having to cancel with clause on something, how long is that going to take? If some say everything's good tonight, we approve everything at the next meeting, 6 months down the road, everything goes to crap again, right? And we have to work through a cancellation with clause. How long does canceling a contract like this with clause take?
For cause, yeah. Well, to be honest with you, it could take a long time, you know.
Like 6 months, a year?
No, I'm talking, if we get into litigation, it could take up to the term of the contract.
Could we,
Yeah.
if certain, could we throw something in there if more than so many things are broken within a 3-month period, we have the ability to basically tighten up the wording on with cause. So that if you can't fix a problem within.
It's still going to have to go to a mediator to prove that. I mean, I understand you may have all the evidence. We were handed a stack of stuff. Right? You got handed that stack too.
I hear you. I'm just trying to find a middle ground here.
I understand. But that's what I want to see. I'm okay with all the rest of it, but I want to see a no-fault cancellation where either party, and like I said, it's up to both parties to make each other happy in that situation. They have to do a good job. We have to communicate with the public, all that situation.
Jim, would you be willing to negotiate as to, again, the definition of cause to be placed, and also if we look at a contract for a 12-month or 24-month basis, and and then we can extend them. Now, we definitely don't want to go into litigation, but again, our best interest for the citizens is what we're looking at. And if we're going to be spending money on litigation, I'd like to see something in the contract to where, like a mediator or an arbitrator or of that nature. Now, it is a big company, we understand that, and we are a small entity, a small city. So we're looking at saving as much as we can, and prefer not to go to litigation.
Thing I'm not smart like a lawyer. I don't know what the lawyers will negotiate as far as the clause language goes, but they will do that. It's upon your direction. He will, so will ours. So that I'm weak on law. So that'll have to be something they decide. I will tell you this. I've never had this experience with this before. I'm just trying to do the best we can. I know we want to do the right thing. I know that for sure. I know we do. And I wished that we had open dialogue with the city to talk and talk the little things out. I wish that would happen. I wish all that would stop. I wish we could just get along.
Question, do other cities do that? Do they have open dialogue? Or so the attorney was involved, and that limits our...
We can do it. We can talk. But
I mean, that's what we're doing right now, Angela. I mean,
but we can only do it here, though.
we're having an open dialogue right now. So.
Yeah, but during the week, there's things that go on and I'd like to talk about, and it's just hard to get clear direction without emailing back and forth. A little phone call. I'd love to buy lunch, say thank you, and find out little details. I'd love to get through it.
So then my staff, they're not answering y'all's emails then?
Oh, no, they are. No, your staff is doing good.
Okay, so then what are you talking about?
Like little things going on during the week, that if there's something I want to call and say, Dora, how you doing? Is there something we can do about this or that? Just talk.
So is there not open communication? Is that what you're stating?
Not only with the attorneys present or counsels only.
Because of the letter we got from their attorney.
If,
My attorney told us we have...
provided that letter, so we'll have a clear
understanding. Our attorney said that he would love...
Make a decision. I mean, again, we're trying to work this out, and come to a middle ground as well. And so, but again, our first priority, is our citizens. And, of course, we want to work the best contract as possible for them. So, and you seem to be amicable in trying to provide that with this contract. Again, there's a few other things, but there's just some things that I'm not clear about as far as the communication process, what's going on behind closed doors. So I'd like to see why that's happening, and if we can please be provided that letter, and so that way we have a better understanding, at least for myself. I cannot speak for other members on the council, but I would like that so we can have some clarity. Laura, will you please provide that? Thank you.
I don't love getting letters from attorneys. I don't love what the mayor's saying here, but we got to figure out a way to meet in the middle here. So, see what you folks come up with, and looking forward to seeing it next meeting.
Thank you.
That's fine.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the communication.
All right, we're gonna take no action on this item at the moment because too many things have been changed on it. So,
Appreciate your time, folks.
we're at item 9:10. Consider an act upon annual report and pilot check from the Devine Housing Authority. If you read your stuff, we have a check here from the Devine Housing Authority in the amount of $4,000, which represents payment in lieu of taxes. We do this every year. Consider an act upon. I think we have to just accept it, but Tom's over there. Does this need to be an action on? Do we have to go ahead and accept this check from them in lieu of taxes?
Motion, yes.
Okay. So do I have a motion to go ahead and accept this check in lieu of taxes?
I'll do the motion to accept the check.
Okay. We have a motion by Debbie, a second by Flipper. All in favor?
Aye.
So we have 2 ayes. Any nays? Anyone abstaining?
I abstain.
I abstain.
All right, motion passes.
May I request to, at a later date, get a little more background on this?
Absolutely.
Doesn't seem malicious, I'd just like to,
Yeah, just
I don't know where to find more information on
like
it.
we're, right.
That's perfectly fine. You
I'm
have
just
the
not
letter
aware.
there. But I'm sure if you reach out to Doris, she can get you more background information on what this check and why it's in lieu of taxes from the Housing Authority.
Oh, I don't know if I don't think there's anything malicious here, just, can I get some more background? Well, Dennis and I both want a little more background to better understand it.
Josh, instead of paying property tax, they're an exempt organization, so they don't pay any property taxes. So if they weren't paying this check to us, we wouldn't be getting anything for the property taxes. This is in lieu of property taxes because they're exempt. I'll be honest with you, I don't know of another exempt organization that makes a voluntary payment to us.
Okay, good enough, thanks.
Denise, did you catch the motion, the second, and then the abstaining?
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks. Item 11, consider an act upon approving all church festivals to be exempt under the mobile food unit ordinance. Oh my gosh, I pull up where we are here at 11. I guess in our passing of the other portion of it, we kind of didn't think about the fact that Fall Festival and the Farmers Market isn't the only 2 city festivals that are held, that are large festivals. So, in getting with Tom, this was what was recommended. Tom, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I think that if you don't do this on a blanket procedure, every church is going to come to you every time that they want to have a festival, asking you to be exempt.
From the food truck?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But it's already a city approved event, is it not?
No, we just approved shutting down the streets and the noise variance. We didn't actually approve.
Last meeting, we approved Beer Fest, or Oktoberfest.
We approved what they were asking for, which is shutting down the streets. And this, what Tom recommended, is doing a blanket ordinance because I'm trying to think that the Baptist Church has something. It's in the fall as well, and I can't remember what it is. And then the Methodist Church normally has a really big Halloween, and I think they pull in food trucks and stuff for that, or they used to. COVID set them back. I don't know what they're doing this year particularly, but it used to be massive. I remember going as a kid even. So it's that way. Not every church is having to individually come in. So as long as they're a church with their, that we recognize as a church here in Devine, I guess, with their tax exempt or whatever, they'll go ahead and be covered. They won't have to come to the city council meeting.
Instead of a church, question, I guess more for you, could we simply amend the existing food truck regulation to include 501c3s be exempt?
Well, it would
Then
have to be a
Lions Club,
festival and not
Masonic
just
Lodge,
because they want
the
a food
church.
truck in front of their place. See that?
But why does this all have to?
This says festivals,
Like
like
this,
Oktoberfest, like Halloween party, like,
I mean, you can call anything about a festival, it's literally a market.
just saying, you could be setting yourself up.
Tom, go ahead.
And as for that, Josh, I mean, what we're faced with right now are the churches. I mean, if somebody else wants to come in and make the same request, well, I think that we can look at it then. Your 501(c)(3), I don't know how many of those organizations we have in the city.
I mean, we know we have these plates for Hanks, or these kind of sales for Hanks. We have them for the churches. We have them for Kiwanis Club. We have them for what's the other one there? Lions Club and Masonic Lodge.
Talking about actual food trucks, because we have two different things. This is just dealing with the food truck ordinance.
Right, well, I think they're most often plate sales, but plate sale would still be a mobile food unit.
under the law, under county law.
Plate sales are a completely separate thing.
It's not.
Fresh in my mind right now, the Methodist Church in Castro is having a ham dinner, and that's all. If you go in, you pick your meal, there's no food service.
Right, but you're still a mobile food unit, and that's how the county just defines it. So if you come out here and set up a tent, it's that you still have to give a drawing to the county office, and they have to approve your SOP as far as how you're going to handle the food, how you're going to do washing stations, and all that stuff, food preparation. It's the food truck is just it's the static facility you have versus the tent, and you still have to give them a design of how you're laying out your tent. So a mobile food unit is still defined in the same
They
way.
don't do that.
Whether
I
they
can
do it or not
guarantee you.
is not the question. It's the fact that's the regulation. So I want to make sure we're actually addressing the regulation. If we're going to make regulation, let's make good regulation. And so I'd like to amend the food truck regulation then to exempt the churches if we want to just scope it to churches today. And just like city approved events, then I guess add churches in there.
We already have festivals, but it has to be approved by the council. Festivals are in the ordinance now.
Council, I think it's council approved festivals. Am I right?
Well, that's why we're here tonight. That's why it's on the agenda tonight. We're looking for a blanket approval of all church festivals.
I guess my point is I don't want to add it on the regulation, folks. I want to amend an existing regulation that's just not written all out.
Oh, you don't put anything. This is going to be a motion from the council. We're not going to change it. We're not going to change the ordinance. You're just approving it. You're doing it with a blanket approval.
We'll make a motion to amend the food truck regulation, not sure the number on it, to include churches as exempt status in conjunction with city-approved events.
Question.
Yes.
Josh, I know a number of churches that when you look at their paperwork, they're not approved through 501(c)(3). They don't do their paperwork like they should.
I would say 501(c)(3).
What are we doing then? What is it?
I make a motion to add or to amend the existing food truck ordinance to include churches and festivals to that.
We have festivals already.
Church festivals to the exempted events along with Catholic festival and council approved events.
And the second part of that?
Council approved events.
I'm still looking at Tom to see if that's going to work or not. So waiting for a nod or something.
No, I think that will work. I think that will work.
Isn't that what we're actually asking for here?
Yes, we're asking just to approve that all church festivals be exempt under the mobile food ordinance.
That's what he said, just backwards from what it says.
Well, I'm saying amend
But he's
Yeah.
wanting to amend,
I just don't want to add more regulation when we could just amend current regulation to more
just to
eloquently.
exemptions.
So amend the ordinance, but to add churches
Church
with
festivals.
church festivals. Because we already have festivals, but we're gonna add church festivals.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, I think I know what you want, Josh.
All right. Well, we have a motion. Who wants a second?
I'll second that if Tom is saying it's gonna work on the
Well,
ordinance.
he's going to bring it back to us anyways, so we'll have to approve it.
Oh, okay, then I'll just
So-
second it, since we're not gonna have it till.
We won't have it until whatever the next meeting
Okay,
is.
I'll second that then. See
So,
how the wording comes
but we
out.
needed to go. Well, we're going to need to go in effect now, though, don't we?
Yes, that's what I'm
Because-
saying, Tom, we need, the church needs an.
So we don't really need to amend. We need to go ahead and just make the exemption tonight, and then put the amendment in later.
Oh.
Yeah, you can do you can approve it for the church to have it and with the amendment.
Okay, so we can go ahead and approve the exemption now with an amendment coming later. You good with that?
Which event?
These church festivals.
Happy to approve a singular event that's happening within the month of October, prior to our next meeting.
Having Halloween,
Right.
they do
To add a blanket exemption, just more regulation, and then
So you're only okay with allowing the Catholic Church to have the event, then?
if that's the one that's pressing, then yes.
Ooh. Yeah, that's going to get us in trouble because we didn't make that exemption for everyone else who's at every
But
other church.
right, because I want to ensure we're actually writing good policy and amending the overarching policy. That is my guiding principle here, is to amend the overarching policy.
Okay, well, You have a motion. Do you want to rescind that motion?
I do
Okay,
not.
Because I don't think that's what everybody else at the table thought. So you're only allowing that motion for the one church. Okay.
Yeah.
No,
I'm gonna
I'm
take my
maintaining my
second
original
back.
motion. I maintain my original motion. We had a second on the motion. There was not a vote cast on the motion.
Yeah, because there's still questions on it.
I don't disagree with you.
So, but then with your intent of the motion, then I guess it doesn't matter because of what made the motion, what your intent was.
Well, my intent of the motion is to ensure all churches are exempt. However, by amending the existing policy and not creating new policy.
Making it as of today.
As of today.
I guess can I ask a question on this, please? So, if I'm understanding, Josh is saying he'll make a motion to approve the exemption for church festivals under this ordinance right now. But we would have to come back next month and actually amend the ordinance to include church festivals? Is that what you're saying, Tom?
Well, Josh wants to have an amendment to the ordinance, correct, Josh?
Yes.
Okay, saying that church festivals, they're on the same, they have the same status as anything else that the council will approve,
Yes.
right? But you want that in the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay.
It would go in that same sentence.
Yes. So if the council says that that's what they want to do, if you want to say, you know, move past an ordinance to that effect, I'll get it done tomorrow, well, not tomorrow, I'll get it done Thursday. And I'll send it over to Laura for Cory's signature, if the council approves it.
And that will include the St. Joseph.
Yeah, it'll include all of it. I mean, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yes.
Church festivals.
Yep.
Well, if you can get it done that quickly and doesn't need to come back and council's okay with that, then. All right, then I'll go ahead. We have a motion and a second. You go with your second?
If that's what we can do, I'll second that.
With the effective tonight.
Yep.
Effective
As of
tonight.
today.
Oh, maybe that was the
Okay.
problem.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Effective tonight. then.
Effective tonight,
All
okay.
right. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Josh, Debbie. Anyone against? Anyone stating the motion passes?
Thomas, I don't want to be obtuse. I just don't like adding more regulation. That's tough to read through.
I really thought we were changing the ordinance too. Like, I read it, that's what we were gonna do. So I was understanding that, but I didn't realize that. I just want to add more stuff on it.
They have the actual.
See, how long have I been here?
Okay.
So long.
All right. 12, consider an act upon request from Michael Wilkinson, DFMA Vending, for permission to install Coke vending machine at Briscoe Park. Yeah, go ahead and step forwards, introduce yourself, and we have some of the stuff that you gave us here, but go ahead and tell us what you're wanting to do.
Hi, I'm Mike Wilkinson, CEO of DFMA. We are a drink, food, and massage automated company. We do different kinds of vending. If you look at the pictures, this would be at Briscoe Park, the park on Hickory Highway. And there's many people that use the pavilion, and I've watched it for a long time, and I believe that they would benefit in having a Coke machine at that area. What we would do is we would work with Coca-Cola to install a machine, and we would put our own meter there for the electricity of that machine, as well as additional slots for future machines that may want to also be there for our company. I'm associated with freeencouragement.org, and I am a area citizen, so I would like to be able to put a machine there for my company, which is local, and we would like to be able to do that with your permission. I'd like to open the floor to the council.
remember freewhat.com?
Freeencouragement.org is a local organization that that does online ministry. So we're essentially a church, but I am leading that church and I'm planting businesses with the area, and so I just wanted to say that because I know that you guys would appreciate local businesses in the area to be a part of the community in deeper ways. So we would like to serve in that area at the park with the machine.
Tom, what's the legality of giving a private entity this kind of ability?
You can do it. I mean, it's basically, I don't know what, Mike, are you gonna?
Well, it'd be a regular business. I just wanted to let you know that we are, we have many members in the area that would also be a part of, sharing this company. So we have just a local presence. That's what I meant.
Where do the profits of this go?
They're about $20 a day. And it varies on how much footwork in the area. So we're seeing about 200 people would be using the park each day, and so we would be selling a few sodas with that, raising money for taxes, of course.
Who are the recipients of the funds raised from this machine?
That would be me. I run the company. So, but I use it for various charities and things like that, and I'm building a larger company to support local area.
My 2 cents, if you want to, just for me, not the rest of the council obviously, but if you want to reform this and tie this more into a community effort of employing folks that maybe are unemployed, I might be willing to consider this at a later date, but at this juncture, I don't know how we effectively give dominion of a singular company over a park like that. And I get it's just a drink machine, but
I mean, it's just one machine, so that would help me be able to do more work in the community.
We don't have electricity there.
Yeah, but they're gonna pay to have it brought in.
Yeah, we would do everything in our power to put it in.
All I do want to point out is the fact that obviously we don't. I would say this is a rule of thumb because we have made exceptions. We don't allow businesses to operate on city property.
Correct.
Generally. That's not always the case. We did open up, and most recently we opened up the front out here to anybody who wants to use it for like a food truck or something like that at $2.50 a day, or when we give the larger allowances for, say, farmers market that operates on a city street or something like that. I get it. Or when we allow people to park trucks on a city street. But I don't know if we want to open up our city park for a business. No offense, please. It's just something that we've never done before, and I don't know if that's something that we even want to consider or go down that path.
I'm in agreement.
I'm worried about the
We have, all right, do you want to talk now before?
I just want to comment that I would be leery of doing that because that's inviting them. And we just got the park fixed up and in really good shape. And we don't want to invite them.
And that's a great point. There is a seat that you can't vote, but you can sit right here if you want to. That is another great point, is the fact that, as you know, when you were on council, we dealt with vandalism at the park. We dealt with vandalism at the restaurant. We still deal with vandalism. It's nothing's changed. So then the question would be, is say we allow something like this, what would we do, or what would we require somebody else to do to actually secure that? Because when we have the Chick-fil-A truck here, we know it's here, it's manned the whole time, and then it goes home. when the Fall Festival's here or anything else is, we know it's manned the whole time. It's packed up. It goes home. It doesn't sit overnight or over weekends or any of that stuff.
If you have a machine up there and someone gets injured, the city will be liable.
How could they get hurt by a vending machine?
Roll down on themselves. It's always a fun game, they can tip this and somebody gets stuck in it.
Or they get their hand stuck in the,
Yeah.
or their finger in the spot, or
We can also put a cage around it.
I had children.
Tom said we would have to have some kind of a contract with him on that, not, for the city not to be held liable.
We'd have to have a.
But if he's not paying the city, Tom's saying we can't do that either.
Yeah, you'd have to find that it's some type of a public purpose to allow him to do this without compensation.
I'll make a motion we table this.
Although your suggestion is greatly appreciated, I personally feel that if any type of entity or business of that nature or any nature with the city should be put out for bids. I know that we can vote on placing that, but I think that it needs to be offered equally and across the board. And again, we've done business with private entities on city property, and it was not a pretty sight. And so, again, I think, nothing personal. Your suggestion, again, is greatly appreciated, but I think that we would be putting the city in a position that would not be satisfactory in our nature. But thank you, greatly appreciate it.
Okay. Your motion is to table or reject?
He took it back because she had he kind of went, oh, never mind.
Sorry.
Right. That's why I'm asking.
Apologies.
Do you have a motion?
I do. I have a motion that we,
Do you want to table it or reject it? That would be.
I'm going
two
to
options.
reject it.
Okay.
That we reject although it's greatly appreciated again, but
To
I
reject the
believe that we
request.
need to put it out for bids if we're going to do that.
No.
So,
Are
motion
we
to
going to put it out to bid, or are we
No,
going to?
I don't want to put it out to bid.
Okay, then don't say that part. Just say
So
the
I make a
rejection.
motion that
Reject the request.
Reject the request. Thank you.
Second.
All right. So motion from Angela, second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion passes.
Appreciate the time and entrepreneurship.
Thank you for coming out tonight.
Yeah, thinking outside the box.
Oh, sure.
Oh, here comes Josh walking down the street.
Not quite an hour and 30 in, but we're in it. All right. 13, consider an act upon amending chapter 14 of the animal ordinance. This is for fowl. This is requested by Josh.
All right.
Go ahead and make your pitch.
So, Tom, I got to ask you first because there is some financial gain for me to make as it is part of my proposed business. Where do I need to sit on this? Do I just need to abstain from all conversation? Because I want to run poultry in small houses in my 12-acre field. I do want to pitch a change to the regulation beyond that, but what am I allowed to? How am I allowed to act with that being said?
You're talking about conflict of interest?
Yes.
Yeah, you shouldn't participate.
Okay. How do I pitch the idea and not participate?
You ask one of these other people to carry your argument.
Would you like to carry my argument?
He's like, I'm not making this argument.
I'm probably going to vote no on it, just so you know.
That's okay.
No, my question, I want to ask you a question just from what's on the agenda, because maybe we can figure this out
Yeah, you're not really
easy.
supposed to answer the question either, but you can ask the question. It just has to be rhetorical.
Okay, on your paperwork, on your email, you said, you want to, what was it? Change it to 10 fowl per.
We already have 10 fowl. It's the existing regulation.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't understand. It says here, add an agenda
Well,
item to amend
this is-
domestic fowl regulations to include a limit of 10 domestic fowl or less than 1 acre.
On less than 1 acre, that's the key, because the current way ours is written, I have it printed here somewhere, unless I left it at home.
It says 10 fowl, no roosters per residence.
But that all falls under, oh my goodness, let me look. It's here. Code is 14.4, section 7.
What are you wanting it to say?
All right, so I really can't answer you that question. Text it to her.
So this is what I submitted to code compliance before.
We have to remember that foul is under most cities, and including the way ours is written here, because ours actually looks a lot like the way San Antonio's is written. Foul is considered part of domestic livestock. So when we have the rule here that says that domestic livestock has to be on an acre of land, that would include the fowl as well. And I know I've looked all over, there's differing opinions on whether or not chickens and fowl are domestic livestock, but most cities count them as being domestic livestock. And so when we make the rule for the 1 acre, it would apply for that whole subchapter there.
That means a lot of people have chickens that shouldn't have them.
Well, you know what?
Okay, I'm just saying, we're kind of opening a door here. Do you want me to read this? You cannot. Okay, this is what he's proposing. Domestic. I can be real loud. Yeah.
Y'all need to move y'all's chairs up. We've moved this camera. Y'all could sit almost at the table and still not be in line with that camera view now. It's actually we have been working. Y'all can move
It's just
forward
this
like
part, right?
6-7 feet, and it would never be in that camera view.
So domestic fowl have a minimum of 1.5 square foot housing space, a documented manure management plan, domestic fowl making significant noise, including roosters and peacocks, will be permitted only with written consent of adjacent neighbors. This documentation is to be maintained by the fowl owner. Fowl will be contained so as to avoid the creation of a nuisance. Fowl will have a minimum of 3 square foot open outdoor access, and outdoor areas will have adequate carbon materials to mitigate odor, or space will be moved daily to ensure odor does not become a nuisance. Okay, is this for anything an acre or above? You can nod to tell me that.
It's terrible when you can't make your own pitches, isn't it?
So I'm assuming that this is for more than an acre.
I'm understanding that it is a larger.
Okay.
Property, a significant larger, in some, maybe 10 to 12 possibly.
So, and I know this doesn't go to Josh's point, but I did read your stuff. I did read the ordinance, and it triggered me a little bit because we've been down this road before, and I've been down this road multiple times over the past. I don't know how long I've been here now. It doesn't even matter sometimes. But what's been thrown in our face has been, well, San Antonio allows like 8 chickens, and it doesn't matter what size yard you have or what you have, they allow like 8 chickens. Well, they do and they don't. So, yes, San Antonio allows it. San Antonio does not have to be the bad guy in this. They do allow these fowl, but under their ordinance, it says that all livestock, and this includes fowl. Actually, like I said, if you read up in it, it mentions that all of it's included as domestic like animals, or not domestic animals like house animals, but domesticated like farm animals. All livestock must be enclosed in a pen. The nearest point being at least 100 feet from any dwelling or business owned or occupied by any person other than the owner of the domestic fowl. And I bring this up because this has been thrown in our face so many times, and I'm like, well, there's no place in San Antonio when you read their ordinance that you could ever be 100 feet away from your neighbors. So that's why, you can write an ordinance and allow something that you know never is going to actually happen, because show me in San Antonio where you can own a property and be 100 feet away from another person's property or building. I know it's not to your point. And for all those other people who want to throw San Antonio into our face, that they have done it before, San Antonio also has a livestock permit fee of $150 a year, and an inspection fee to inspect the pens of $25 a time, and a reinspection fee of $25 a time. I guess they probably need to do that annually as well to make sure the pens are in working shape. So that's enough of the San Antonio. I know that wasn't your point, but it brought up fantastic memories of past conversations. So in this situation here, I think that
I would like to make a motion that we consider changing the ordinance to the 10 domestic fowl less than an acre, and limit that to 10 acres. So that way it'll be 100 fowl, 100 chickens. But again, there has to be requirements met with the noise, the waste management. And so if any individual would like to do that, to submit a plan of action, so that way it does not disturb the neighbors, and then if we do get quite a bit of complaints from the neighbors, then we'll have to consider a reduction. Or we can consider that as, so that we can make a decision at the next council meeting.
right, I'll have it restated here in a second. The one thing that I do want to, I guess, as somebody who's grown up here, remind, just personal experience. And Devine's interesting because up until a few years ago, if you wanted all of that, if you wanted, and you're not asking for horses, you're not asking for goats. I know that one time you had a cow next door to you.
I did for a little while.
We're not asking, I'm not talking about, but if you wanted those things, it wasn't that long ago that you could have bought a house out in the country for the same price you could have bought a house inside the city limits. And a lot of people made those choices. I remember moving from out in the country into the city of Devine. Or when you said that you were going to town, you meant you were coming here. It didn't have anything to do with San Antonio. And that was the choice people made. And I am curious, as we talk about this, because nobody, other than here, other than you, nobody's actually come to me with this kind of a thought. I am curious if that's a direction that Devine wants to go, or do we want to maintain that we're a town, actually we're a city technically, and what stays in the country stays in the country, what stays in the city stays in the city. I don't know. It's kind of like when we talk about anything, bringing in anything that's maybe from bigger towns and bringing it, or bringing things in from the country as well. Kind of what do we want? How do we want Devine to look as we move forwards? So I'm okay with urban gardening, and I'm okay with chickens, and I'm okay with all that, but I know a lot of people didn't move into Devine for that reason. They moved into Devine because they had the option 4 or 5 years ago, even 7 years ago, easily had the option to make a decision. Do I want a house here in Devine, or do I want to go straight out in the country and buy a couple of acres and have all those items? I don't know. I don't have an answer for it. It's just an observation. Go ahead, Debbie.
I'm looking at the ordinance right now. Right now, it says the total number of domestic fowl allowed at a residence is 10 fowl with no roosters. An owner must comply with the following with regard to domestic fowl, and it's the facilities to house them, sanitation, and blah, blah, blah. There's 3 little ABCs. So what Josh, I think, is looking for is when you have acreage, you get that many per acre. I'm gonna only guess because he can't talk. That's 100 chickens in your neighborhood. Boy, you're gonna have to sweet talk a lot of neighbors because that's a lot of noise. And I'm never going to say.
We have a neighbor who will give. Well, you wanna?
Yeah, honestly, in District 5, they sent me a video. I was just telling Dora this the other day. And they only have 5 chickens behind them. And it was an astronomical amount of noise that night. I don't know if they were just all fluffed up over something, but it was a lot of noise. But I personally will never agree to a rooster to be put in here, in the mix.
Well, yeah.
I'm in agreement with
I
that. Rooster,
want to say that San Antonio 1 doesn't allow roosters
they're
either.
waking up the neighbors.
Yes.
You know, we
I
have,
say
we have
table
Val
it till
running
we can get someone
around
to.
right now.
Either write us something or get somebody to speak on his behalf. Yeah. And Tom, if he was just to write us something like a full, like a, similar to what we have here from the guy who wanted the Coke machine dispenser, would that be okay?
As long as he doesn't participate in the discussion.
Right.
And
If he was to
or vote.
write us something that we had before the meeting, so we knew what his argument was for it.
Right.
Okay. Then let's table this until we can actually get that from Josh
I'll
or.
retract mine.
Okay. Do you want to make a motion to go ahead and table it then until we
Yes, I'll
have
make a motion
or
to table
a
and
flip
get
or whatever?
the
I don't-
paperwork required.
Okay. So motion from Angela, Flipper. You want to second it? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion passes.
I'd like to say something, Mayor. I heard tonight that getting the neighbors' consent to this, you can't do that. Okay, that's a term of art. It's an unlawful delegation of legislative authority. It's going to remain up to this council. The council has to make the decision. It's got to be on you. Okay.
So leave that piece out of whatever you're doing.
Yeah, leave that out. Would like to commend Josh for telling the council. I appreciate that.
Yes.
It's true.
People call me a lot of things, but they're not going to call me a liar.
I appreciate that.
Oh yes, I don't know which item we're on. Hold on here. Okay. We are on 14. Consider an act for council to place their vote for the Medina County Electric Cooperative Inc. 2022 director election. There's 2 names on here. Let me go ahead and pull it up.
This was on the 16th, I thought.
Oh, did it already pass us?
Yeah.
Oh, well then I'm not worried about them. Paper ballots must be received by September. Yeah. Okay. Well, when it matter, whenever I double check this with Dora, so we only get 1 vote on that. So like, if there's, I don't know, there's 20,000 meters in there, or 20,000 members, we would just be one. It's like it doesn't. All right. So we're just gonna go ahead and table that because it's already passed. Are you sure that was to have? Well, no, I guess we can have. I'm sure because we're gonna have to send in a paper ballot anyways. It doesn't matter. I just say I don't know what day they actually tabulated them compared to what day today is.
So the results get announced on Saturday.
Oh, then no, absolutely not. It won't work. Okay, so let's double check and read this next one to make sure it's not already passed too. Ballots must be received by. Oh, here we go. Board. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So this is for consider an act. Oh, sorry. This is considered an act upon TML ballots. So there's two people here. Of course, we don't know either one of them necessarily. Do we have a consensus one way or the other?
I'm fastly on an ethics committee and not in shirts.
So you're one.
Kimberly.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're wanting the one from Kerrville here.
Yeah. Couldn't find a whole lot of information, so that's.
You never can on these votes like this. It's just a bunch. They give you this description they probably wrote themselves, and yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of spare time.
Okay, so do you want to go ahead and make a motion for Kimberly then?
Public at large have any comments?
Anyone?
That it's, I don't,
I'll make a motion for, that we vote for Kimberly Meismer.
that your guess is as good as mine is how she really pronounces her last name.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second for Kimberly. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion passes. All right. Consider an act upon for council to approve the 2023 routine airport maintenance program. This is the ramp grant. The ramp grant that we're applying for is a $100,000 grant, 50 of which is from the state, 50 of which is from our would be our share. And we kind of have two options on this. We can either use it to pay for hangar stuff or buying that, or we can go ahead and complete the drainage problem. The drainage, well, it is a problem, but the drainage that was approved. Do we know what? Do you remember when the drainage was approved? It doesn't matter. It was approved a while back, but there was not enough funds to be able to complete the drainage project. Between the hangars, remember JR was here and all that was discussed at that point.
Would this give us enough money to finish that?
I believe so. Would this give us enough money to be able to finish the drainage?
Yeah, it was supposed to give us enough with the rent grant.
Yeah. Yeah, it should give us enough to be able to finish it with the ramp grant.
Because that drainage is a real problem over there.
We hear about it often.
Yes.
Should increase rent.
We are.
Do I have it correct that this Hooks on renews our requirement to maintain that airport for another 20 years? Every time we accept this grant?
That's correct.
Okay.
So whatever you do, yeah. So whatever you do today. Now, mind you, whatever we accepted last year, we're only say 1 year into.
Yep.
So it isn't like, oh, if we don't accept this one, it can't. No, we still
No,
it
no, I
still
get it,
follows
I get
through.
it.
So. All right. So I guess I'm gonna entertain a. If there's no discussion here, I go. Well, obviously, until we get it, we can't really apply it to anything, anyways. I'm going to entertain a motion to go ahead and approve going out for the 2023 routine airport maintenance program grant.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Anyone abstaining? Motion passes. Nope. Yeah, no.
May I request a restroom break before we push?
Absolutely. Yep. Motion for a restroom break at 7:32. We'll try to keep it at 10 minutes, even though it never works that way.
We had a discussion.
We could have